I seem to end up underground a lot on this show. Start a beer show, they said. You'll be in comfortable tap rooms, they said. Recently, I was hanging out with my neighbor, Brian Hatheway from Brews Less Traveled. And I said, Brian, what's the best hidden gem beer city in America? And he said,
Cincinnati.
And I said, Brian, why'd you say Cincinnati?
Well, because there's over 80 breweries here. The rich beer history dates back to the 1800s, and there's chili.
We're at Rhinegeist Brewery here in OTR. OTR stands for Over the Rhine. We're in an old pre-Prohibition brewery building, actually. So this was originally the packaging facility for Christian Moerlein Brewing, started by Christian Moerlein, a German immigrant who came and built a brewery, and by some accounts was brewing close to 500,000 barrels of beer before Prohibition. So
wow.
Cincinnati has a really long history of people embracing local beer culture, really. So we opened in this location in 2013. Our original bar opening was right here. We only had 4 beers. So we have, I think, 26 right now.
A little bit more now.
A few more.
Who's this?
This was for the opening day parade a couple years ago.
It's a bobblehead?
It's technically a bobblehead.
Oh!
Can we all do the pose real quick? Brian, you want to jump in here?
Get your bat ready.
Yeah, get your bat ready. A dream come true for
Nailed
me.
it. Yeah. You always wanted to be a bobblehead?
That's it. Think about it. Think about it daily. This looks like Truth,
This is Truth.
which I think is what, half your production?
It fluctuates somewhere between like 40 to 50% of our total volume. Our flagship for sure. We've been making it since day one. It's just the beer that built Rhinegeist.
This is something I've always wanted to do. Can I do it?
Absolutely.
Did you choose, is that the right one?
I think this is the right one.
This one.
I'm gonna grab one. I might as well.
This was just put into these cans,
Oh yeah, I mean like 30 seconds ago maybe.
so we will never have a fresher
As
Rhinegeist
fresh as
beer
it gets.
than this one
Unless
right here.
we walk like 4 feet over that way.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cheers,
Here
boys.
it is.
Oh my God, that's so fresh.
Still cold.
That's so nice.
Yeah, Centennial, Simcoe, Citra, Amarillo. It's bitter, but not just bitter. We use a little bit of rye, a little bit of Cara Red, a little bit of Vienna.
So the malts really set the stage for those hops to kind of take off, and it's really nice papaya notes in there, orange notes. So this is a great beer.
How many cans does this do a day?
This does about 250 cans a minute.
A minute. And so how many barrels is Rhinegeist doing a year now?
Last year we did just over 100,000 barrels.
Try not to get run over by a forklift.
Yeah, I prefer it.
That's such a bummer when that happens.
Here in the basement, we have a lot of storage, so a bunch of refrigeration. All these are what we call fresh barrels. We do Ink as our Imperial Stout. We do variants of that in different types of barrels. But we keep it down here, it's nice and kind of consistent temperature. We're happy to just kind of let things chill and be pretty static.
What could you tell me about the history of beer here in Cincinnati?
Pre-Prohibition, there were 35 or so breweries operating in Cincinnati. None of our breweries really survived Prohibition. We were known for beer and for pork and for ironwork. Central Avenue used to be a canal. It was called Over the Rhine because the joke was that that canal was like the Rhine River in Germany. And that name is just kind of stuck for this neighborhood. Having access to that spirit, that culture, that history, and that really even gets down to the name of Rhinegeist. Rhine is that river, and then Geist, it's like the spirit, like a ghost, but also like spirit as in alcohol.
What do you think is unique about Cincinnati's beer scene?
It's both very old and very new. Cincinnati's been a beer town for 150 years. There weren't big city-wide type craft breweries until 8 or 10 years ago. There's a lot of lager being made. There's a lot of English milds being made somehow. We're drinking our American lager. This is the #1 selling beer in this building.
This being the #1 seller here really speaks to Cincinnati being a working class town.
And 4.8%. You can have a cup.
Should we drink to that?
Cheers.
Cheers. That was fun.
It was. And I have something for you.
What is it?
It's our beer club box. I'm not just a guy that knows about beer. I'm actually the host of a podcast called Brews Less Traveled, and we have a beer club which people can sign up for and get 8 beers from our featured city from awesome breweries like Rhinegeist.
Oh yeah, look at that.
This is our Cincinnati box.
50 West, are we going there today?
We are, but I have somewhere to take you first.
So we should get in the car.
We should.
All right, let's get in the car. Well, thanks for the box.
Hey, Kenny, can I drive?
Absolutely not.
So we've heard a lot about the lager culture here in Cincinnati, so I wanted to come and meet our friends from the Brewing Heritage Trail and check out something cool underground.
We're with the Brewing Heritage Trail here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we're excited to show you the historic Jackson Brewery lagering cellars. Want to go check them out?
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
head into the depths. I seem to end up underground a lot on this show. Start a beer show, they said. You'll be in comfortable tap rooms, they said.
We are in a pre-prohibition lagering cellar. These were built around the 1850s, and this was how lager beer was made before mechanical refrigeration.
Brewing actually originates on this site in the late 1820s, and it starts out as just a little wooden shack that's actually on the hillside above us. We don't really know too much about it. We know that there was a brewery here. They were producing a small amount of beer, and the guy who owned it was a guy named Schmelzer. And then pretty soon, a new brewery pops up here, coinciding with the re-election of Andrew Jackson to the presidency. And so the proprietor names it after Andrew Jackson, and it's called the Andrew Jackson Brewery, and that's in 1832.
So when you're making lager beer, it needs to be aged at cooler temperatures, right?
Yep.
These caves were kind of dug into the hillsides or underground so that year-round, even in the summer when it's warm, you can still keep the lager at that consistent temperature.
You could, yeah, so consistent about 50-degree temperature, but that really wasn't quite cold enough. They would also harvest ice at wintertime and pack it in and store it into these cellars to help keep it more in that 40-degree range that lager yeast needed to ferment. So these breweries only had a short brewing period every year, which is one of the reasons why they had these massive networks of cellars, is to store all that beer to sell all year long. So this was a mid-sized brewery in Cincinnati. I believe their production was about 75,000 barrels of beer a year.
You guys ever do shadow puppets on the wall back here?
There's been lots of things that happened on these cellars over the years. So after it closed as a brewery, it was a winery. It was a fallout shelter for a while. Lately, there's actually been Hollywood movies shot in these cellars.
Any murders? This seems like a pretty good place for a murder.
Not that we know of.
Number one cause of death for brewers during that time was suffocation, actually.
Ventilation was very important to get out that CO2 gas, but also to help regulate the temperature. To actually see some of the architectural pieces of that, there's vents in the sidewalls, up in the ceilings. You can see brackets that would have supported some very primitive cooling systems where they just ran ice water or later ammonia systems. So you see some of those architectural remains of the technology of the time still in these cellars.
Aaron, what is this?
The beginnings of a cave-type formation that you're gonna have in here. It does it at an accelerated rate in these sort of human-made structures here, unlike a naturally formed cave.
Yeah, is what my basement starts to look like if I don't clean it.
You might wanna look into that, yeah.
Could you tell us about the hole in the wall?
Yeah, so it looks like they built these openings to maybe have some future expansion. So a previous owner thought, well, heck, it looks like there's something on the other side of that wall. I'm gonna go try to figure it out. So didn't find anything there, but he was poking through another hole over there. As he poked through the wall, saw a pair of red eyes staring at him. It was a dog from the neighboring building that cellar had connected to. So there's actually other parts of this complex that have been sealed off and sold to other owners.
It wasn't a demon dog that had been bricked up into the wall for 100 years. So how have these cellars changed over, 175 years?
Quite a bit. So, we don't have a lot of documentation, obviously. We don't have blueprints from when these cellars were built, but this brewery in particular, making beer after Prohibition, saw that whole range of technology change. So in this brewery, they would have brewed upstairs in the main building, logged the beer down here, and then sent it down these rails and right through those openings there into the bottle house. This was a very, for the time, an efficient production.
Loading and distribution was also done from out here. So you got to figure they make a bunch of beer and not everybody buys it all of a sudden. So you got to keep it around for a bit. but they're going to use this location too to load up horse-drawn wagons initially in this room and haul the beer out to whether it's going to the canal or the riverfront or to the 1,800 plus saloons that were in the city by the end of the 19th century.
Well, thank you guys. That was awesome.
Yeah, glad we could show it to you. So, yeah, where are you heading to next?
I'm gonna take them over to 50 West.
Fantastic, great beer, great location. So,
We'll say thank you.
all right.
Till next time.
Thank you.
Glad to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.
See y'all.
All right. Well, Pittsburgh people, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, why didn't they offer to buy us a beer? We like beer.
A lot.
Do you want to tell us about the original location across the street?
Yeah, so it started in 2012. It's like an old speakeasy, roadhouse kind of thing. Route 50 goes across the country. There's an old prohibitioner or bootlegger in Cincinnati named George Remus who used to say that he would get alcohol on 50 and take it west, and that was like part of his business plan. So this roadhouse was built in 1827. Bobby, the guy who owns the place, redid it with his dad. Low ceilings, copper bar, dim lighting, local food, local beer. It's everything that everyone wanted.
You must be Bobby.
Welcome. Hope Max treated you well. I got a coast to coast ready for you. This has been our flagship IPA since we started. So this is 50 going across the country. I mean, that's the road. You'll see that throughout our space. So the house actually burnt down at one point in time, and those were the char marks. So when we were renovating the inside of this, we actually tore a wall down and found that. That's like the original part of the building.
I've never been to a brewery with sand volleyball courts.
We took over this space, turned it into this production facility that you see now. There was already volleyball courts there, and we had to start running volleyball leagues.
It's part of coming to 50 West now is this idea that you can sit in the sand and have a beer and a cheeseburger with your family.
You have a beach day in Cincinnati.
It is their beach day. We have had people take their family photos out on our space. Some people do it at the beach and they're just doing it, at the brewery.
With something like volleyball at a brewery, you kind of have an experience built in. Your brewery is going to continue to grow and innovate. What are the things that you're looking at?
We actually built a pickleball court to do more sports leagues. The food is really catered towards everyone. Bring your whole family out here, bring your kids out here. I think some breweries tend to shy away from that. We're going to continue to invest in that piece of the business and that identity.
If you think about what a brewery really is to an adult, it's kind of just like a root beer stand. Here you can either order a single burger, a double burger, a hot dog, and then we stylize it as the best state. So if you look on the menu, the Indiana is gonna have fresh corn salad, American cheese, lettuce. Illinois, you got horseradish aioli. It was this perfect spot, and then we threw the shakes in there for the kids, and we've become the family destination in Cincinnati. Dads and moms that drink beers, and kids get milkshakes, and everybody walks away happy.
I keep hearing about chili in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Is that a thing here? What is with that?
Yeah. So our Ohio burger, if you look on the menu, Cincinnati chili, shredded cheese, house mustard, onion. So Cincinnati is known for our chili, and it's kind of different than what most people think of when they think of chilies. It's more like a sauce. So the big thing here is people take chili and they put it on spaghetti with cheese on it. People that aren't from here, they eat it and they're like, this is weird. I haven't
don't
got
get it. Yeah.
Go to Skyline. There's one that way down the street, one this way. Hop in there. It's very Cincinnati. If you're coming for the experience, that's what you got to do.
Well, thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What do you think is special about what you've created here?
My co-founder Brian was a home brewer for a long time, one of the first black brewers here in Cincinnati. And I met him through this accelerator and we became fast friends over beer. We are the first black and Asian owned brewery here in the city. So to be able to open up something like that is very special for us, that we have to be ones to ensure that people understand diversity, inclusion. That's something that's part and parcel of our core mission.
Is Cincinnati a diverse city?
Cincinnati is becoming a very diverse city. This neighborhood especially is one of the most historically diverse in the city. I mean, it's got German roots, Italian roots, big black community here, and now we've got this mishmash of people, just like in a lot of main streets across America.
Cincinnati's brew scene has been alive since the 1800s. It's thriving now with close to 80 breweries in the area. What do you think is important for Cincinnati's beer scene moving forward?
I think every neighborhood needs a brewery. In fact, every neighborhood's trying to build a brewery because they know it's one of these things that bring people together. This is where all the magic happens. A lot of the grain gets stored here, and then the packaging stuff happens down here. That's the cool thing about this industry, is that you can employ people who are here in the neighborhood. They're learning new trades and new skills that can apply to wherever they go.
Could you tell us more about the tap room here?
It's called the Paramount Building. This is an Art Deco style, built in the 1930s. And in its heyday, people would shop here just like they would go to the malls of yesteryear. When we walked in, it was abandoned, but we knew this was the place to be. So now we're sitting in this elegant tap room.
Talk to us about the beer. What styles are you into here, and what are you guys making?
We really focus on a lot of traditional style beers. I've got a Belgian blonde here. What you guys have over there, you've got a Norwegian IPA. And then what you got over there, Kenny, is what we call Kalima. And the idea behind that beer, it's a cream ale with coffee. That's the type of beer that we like to make here, is beers that are traditional with a little bit of twist on it.
What do you think is the importance of diversity in beer?
The growth of this whole industry is in women, it's in people of color, Black, Latino, Hispanic, LGBTQ. They're the future of this country, and they're the future of beer as well.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
It's time to go home, Brian.
Yeah, but we gotta get some chili first.
Everyone keeps talking about the chili, man. Dude, you're not driving.
Come on, let me just drive a little bit.
You're not driving.
Cincinnati rules.
As a native of Pittsburgh, I wasn't expecting to love another Midwestern city, but color me converted. Cincinnati doesn't only have a unique beer scene that mixes old world styles with modern attitudes and techniques, but the city is beautiful. They might call their pasta sauce chili, but that's hardly something to complain about. Until my next visit, Cincy, next exit.